So that's the scene here at the Crew Stadium. Long ago, sold out. They probably could have sold this out twice. Remember, 3 times Mexico have come here in World Cup qualifiers. 3 times they've been beaten by an identical scoreline, 2-0. The usual prayers from Chicharito Hernandez will be the danger man. Landon Donovan back in the fold after his 10-month exile from the national side. Might he have a starring role yet again? It's a thunderous atmosphere here, it really is. And the United States, just to remind you, can clinch a place in the World Cup finals in Brazil next summer with a win here tonight and a Panama loss or draw against Honduras. You have to say that second scenario does seem pretty likely on form, though who can second guess this game? US in the white shirts getting us underway here at the noisy Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, and an early touch here for Eddie Johnson, who gets the job up front now that Josie Altidore is suspended for what was, frankly, a pretty silly yellow card in the closing moments the other night in Costa Rica. Taylor, what a noise.
As an American, there's one game you want to play in as a player. It's US-Mexico in Columbus. And as a fan, there's one ticket. This place is rocking and rolling early.
Defending to do here for Diego Reyes, who had a shaky game, the youngster, the other night against Honduras. He was probably to blame for the second goal, but he keeps his place ahead of Nasa Rodriguez, the former skipper. Play towards Jermaine Jones. And dispossessed early. Mexico, what they give for an early strike to settle themselves and maybe just gloss over what is currently fragile confidence. It must be. They've only won 1 game in the Hex group. Onside here. Jimenez cut across the face of goal and a threat straight away.
And it's Cristian Chaco Jimenez, who has the ability to tuck inside, make runs out of the midfield, is a dangerous player and a guy that has the freedom to move in and around the 18-yard box and in and around the spaces in front of the back 4 of the United States of America.
Wait for a corner. Here's the corner kick. Howard there had to just maneuver for a bit of room to clutch that. Is Omar Gonzalez, new defensive partner for him tonight. Clarence Goodson, because of the suspension for Beasler. His yellow card, you'd have to say, was verging on the ludicrous.
Not verging, it was ludicrous.
Despite that defeat on Friday in Costa Rica, the USA very handily placed to make it to Brazil, and that's a good ball from Jermaine Jones to Fabian Johnson, who turns up on the right-hand side.
But that's a ball we did not see Friday night in Costa Rica from Jermaine Jones. Much more composed on the ball, picking his head up and finding Alejandro Bedoya.
Let's take a look at tonight's performance player, then fueled by Gatorade. Who is it?
Klinsmann is not shy of giving a chance to an inexperienced player in a big game. In March, it was Matt Beasler. Tonight, it's Alejandro Bedoya. Bedoya defensively must support Fabian Johnson when he goes forward. And then in that final third, can he create chances wide for Eddie Johnson and Clint Dempsey to run onto?
Salcido found a good ball there. Ismael, who's coming to the side at right back in place of Mesa tonight. I think Jurgen Klinsmann thought Mesa was going to play and actually thought he might be a bit of a weak link.
And so does Luis Fernando Tena. That's why he makes a change.
So it would seem anyway. Reyes got in with the interception. The dependable Laredo was there, and then Reyes. Arce in midfield for Mexico. Dos Santos have got ahead of Hernandez there. Hernandez Gets the wrong side and curls that into a dangerous area. Problems, and Fabian Johnson pressed into service at right back. Here he has played at right back before, but only once, and that was when the US won in the Azteca, their only ever win, that historic win there in a friendly match. But it's not ideal.
Keep in mind, Friday night against Costa Rica, that near post, right where Clint Dempsey is standing right now, Jurgen Klinsmann has changed that as opposed to Friday night in Costa Rica.
Dos Santos gets the delivery, and it wasn't won by an American head, and they did have their problems in the air the other night. It was Moreno who got there. Landon Donovan with some kind of treatment to the eye by the look of it there. Hasn't stopped him playing, that's the main thing. It's not the happiest of hunting grounds for him. He's only ever scored twice in this stadium. Mind you, one was in an MLS Cup final.
And if we were to assume that Mexico is going to commit numbers forward, the speed of Landon Donovan and his ability to counter-attack and find counter-attacking space in behind the back four of Mexico will be critical for the success of the United States in attack.
Donovan, who turned the summer into something of a comeback concert for himself with some sterling performances in the Gold Cup. Here's Dos Santos trying to get behind. That was an important header by Omar Gonzalez. Jones slips it forward, doesn't manage to find Bedoya. Bedoya, by the way, starting in a World Cup qualifier, even playing in one for the very first time. He plays for Nantes in France, a player of Colombian descent. Fans have been noisy all day. Chaco Jimenez got in behind, and here is Dos Santos again. Hernandez goes to the near post. He wasn't found on that near post. Oh, and that could have very easily been an own goal off DeMarcus Beasley. Mexico asking questions early. It's a bright start from the Mexicans here.
And he had a couple of different things in that particular sequence. Movement with the ball, without the ball, with Cristian Chaco Jimenez and Giovanni Dos Santos. Good place interchange, and then two options in the box for Mexico, something they haven't done in 2013.
Salcido inside to Guardado, who was surprisingly left out the other night. That's almost unheard of. He's winning his 99th cap here, the Valencia man. Dempsey, captaining the US these days. No foul, says the referee. Well, Santos again very bright early on. He was the other day and set up the Mexican goal. Kyle Beckerman will just sit in front of the defense with strict instructions to stay there and provide the shield. Good pressing by Mexico. They're getting the ball back early. Slightly uncomfortable start this for the US. Can Mexico get a payoff for their domination early on? Mayer inside. Arce, bit optimistic.
Well, Alejandro, you're talking about movement off the ball. Dos Santos has been running in behind when Chicharito tucks in. It's very important that Kyle Beckerman is sitting in front of Goodson and Gonzalez, because then it becomes that outside midfielder making that second or third run in.
And that is a run from Mexico that they haven't had throughout the course of 2013. They haven't had midfielders provide a presence in the box and a second option in attack for Mexico.
The voice of former Venezuelan international Alejandro Moreno there, a title winner in this stadium in his days with Columbus Crew.
I gotta tell you, he had my pictures in the stadium somewhere.
You were looking at it for hours last night. You think it is. It's a good picture too. Remember, the USA are unbeaten in 25 home World Cup qualifiers, and they've scored in every home World Cup qualifier since the year 2000, and that was here against Costa Rica. Dempsey because of Seattle Sounders these days. Hernandez making himself a nuisance and just getting the better of Gonzalez for a moment there. Free kick goes Mexico's way. Mexico's need is greater. They are in something of a pit of despair in this group. It's been a big, big shock, but still, qualification for Brazil is very much in their hands if they can come up with the results.
Look for Cristian Chaco Jimenez to strike the ball from distance. Can hit this sort of free kick. Has done so for Cruz Azul in Liga MX.
The range is about 30 yards. It is Jimenez. And it was never going to be a threat. Interesting player who Diego Maradona called up for Argentina into the international squad. He is Argentina born, but in the end he's a naturalized Mexican and has opted for Mexico. It's only his third cap at the age of 32 for Mexico.
He gives this team a sense of character, a sense of a little bit of nastiness out of the midfield, and a sense of a guy who can create in the final third, something that, again, Mexico has struggled with this year.
Yeah, they've only scored 4 goals in the group. They've only let in 4 as well, mind you. So many draws, it's cost them. Dempsey. Eddie Johnson pulling into the wide area. That's meant Donovan has gone into the middle for the moment. Dempsey trying his luck from range, but pretty much off target. He does have 8 World Cup qualifying goals so far in this cycle.
And the key is second balls, especially when Mexico wants to pack it in, make the field compact. Can Clint Dempsey be in the right spot to find that second ball and then get in dangerous spots for Landon Donovan to get in behind?
Mexico at the moment out of the automatic qualification places unthinkably in this group. They're in 4th place. Only the first 3 go automatically to the finals. The 4th team have to play off in a 2-legged series against New Zealand.
Now keep an eye right now as Mexico builds the ball out of the back. Arce will drop deep, very similar to the way Tirado did. It's important that Jermaine Jones, Kyle Beckerman, or Clint Dempsey are communicating, not allowing that ball. Right there, they did a wonderful job. Second ball is Kyle Beckerman's.
Here is Beckerman, chance to state his case. He's only started one of the qualifiers this time around. Foot soldier is the Real Salt Lake man. Sure Bedoya wanted it there, but got it anyway from Omar Gonzalez. Dempsey tries to play one round the corner towards Bedoya and was caught a bit late. What have you made of his form since he's come home and played for Seattle?
Well, it's very similar to his form last summer. He had a late transfer to Tottenham, and I think he's getting his feet under him. But I think that penalty kick in Costa Rica is the kind of goal for a center forward, a goal scorer, that takes the pressure off of him. I think tonight he's feeling a little bit more comfortable in being captain of the U.S. men's national team and also the highest paid player in MLS.
It's Fabian Johnson, who's looking to be quite a versatile character in this team. He's played both fullback positions and, of course, usually left midfield. Bedoya inside. Dempsey. Fabian Johnson in towards Bedoya, who tried to turn into some space. Dempsey's down again. There'll be another free kick here. You said the early stages, Taylor, were going to be vital for the USA to just ride what you anticipated to be an early Mexican storm.
Well, we've seen a couple nervy moments, but this is the thing about Clint Dempsey. In Costa Rica, he had too many times where he wanted to take that extra touch. Tonight, he's already been clean with the first touch, and then the second touch is out from under him.
Donovan to play it in. It's towards Goodson. It was laid down and then volleyed over the top of the bar in the end by Jermaine Jones. Couldn't keep it down, but that was the first threat from the US.
And
Every single US-Mexico game here in Columbus, set pieces has been an X factor, and it's key tonight that the United States take full advantage of Omar Gonzalez, Clarence Goodson, Eddie Johnson, Clint Dempsey getting on the end of crosses.
And that's a formula that should not change for the United States. They've been very good behind the ball, causing turnovers, and when they force turnovers, they can go on counter-attacking opportunities, and then the set pieces will come, and that's where the United States have to take advantage of.
It's DeMarcus Beasley, cap number 111 for him. Tonight he recently captained the Gold Cup winning side. Zabala helped that on towards Giovanni Dos Santos, who started the season well in Spain. Has to be said, a draw would be no heartbreaker for the USA, even though everybody has come here, the fans wanting to see the win that takes them to Brazil, depending on that other result as well. Realities can be a little bit different. Pragmatism will kick in, maybe. It's a difficult assignment with so many key men missing.
That is such good positioning from Omar Gonzalez. Giovanni Dos Santos has an extra step on him, but he reads the play very well. He's goal side. Well done.
ESPN's presentation of this FIFA World Cup qualifier brought to you by AT&T, Rethink Possible, and by Soccer.com, everything but the trophy. Soccer.com, unmatched. Omar Gonzalez did very well to win that header in that last USA attack, and not only did he win it, he set up Jermaine Jones. Here's Beckerman. He won't go over the halfway line that often, I wouldn't think, tonight. Donovan feeding inside towards Dempsey. Here's Dos Santos, licensed to create havoc. There should have been an advantage play there, really, you'd think, because Guardado was making quite good progress. That's, I think, what Mexico is saying.
And to your point, Ian, if you're going to call this foul, which is clearly a foul,
yellow card,
then it has to be a yellow card on Kyle Beckerman.
Two games left for both sides after this in the Hex. Zabala, who's been brought into the side tonight, the Monterrey player, side who do very well, of course, in the CONCACAF Champions League in recent years. Moreno. Hernandez had pulled into space. Whether there are 90 minutes in Hernandez tonight is a question, I think, because he's only played 18 minutes for Manchester United this season. He went into the season with an injury. So how does the group look at the moment? Just a reminder that Costa Rica, after their win over the US, are top now by a point. They're playing Jamaica tonight. That game is in progress with this one. Honduras playing Panama later. Will be across that. It kicks off later than this game, rather frustratingly. Everyone might have to wait around till midnight if the US win to see what goes on here. And I think a lot of people will stay, won't they?
You think anyone in this building right now will care? It's going to be a lot later than midnight, my man.
I hope you're stocked up then, ready to go. Jamaica 0, Costa Rica 0 is a latest score. Costa Rica can qualify tonight. Italy and the Netherlands have done that, by the way, already in Europe. Two of the big guns. England getting a goalless draw in Ukraine, which is a useful one for them. Omar Gonzalez. Mexico, Fabian Johnson was caught in possession. Guardado to Chicharito. Omar Gonzalez with a very good touch, but it's fallen here to Dos Santos. He nearly found Chicharito there. And Jimenez's shot beaten away by Howard. But the US here are being caught out of it. Fabian Johnson was caught in possession, and after that, anything might have happened. Counter-attack is on with Donovan. Runs Meyer. Good little feint, gets across in, but Corona won't have a problem with that.
The attacking sequence for Mexico starts with a turnover out of the middle of midfield, and then as the ball pops onto the feet of Cristian Chaco Jimenez, the ability to cut back, find the far post, and a tremendous save by Tim Howard. It comes from the ability and willingness of Mexico to pressure higher up the field in an advanced position. From there, they can counterattack.
Here is Jimenez again. It could be a bundle of trouble for the US tonight. Started the game well. Guardado. Dos Santos sometimes flatters to deceive, but if he's in the mood, watch out. And he's caught late there. Dos Santos got in behind by Bedoya.
And Ian, you're talking about Dos Santos showing up here big time. He's been very active early on, particularly trying to combine out of the midfield and making that late run.
The tall men are up. Zabala, Moreno, Reyes. Tim Howard doing a lot of talking. Another set piece.
Clint Dempsey right here, right in front of Tim Howard. Jimenez is going to want to drive this right in front of Tim Howard. Dempsey's free.
Jimenez not far away.
But because Dempsey is sitting now in front of Tim Howard, it just plants the seed in Jimenez's mind that, you know what, now I have to be a little bit more acute with this free kick. That's well done from the United States.
Tim Howard trying to concentrate minds back where there's no doubt Mexico have made much the sharper start here. But, you know, Alejandro, you'd think they've got to get a payoff in this phase for this.
Yeah, the fact that they have a willingness to step higher up the field, to pressure higher up the field and creating turnovers for the United States, they have to take advantage of this good spell. Because at some point, you figure the United States is going to settle, get into the game, and create attacking opportunities themselves.
Beasley plays it towards Donovan. It never got there in the end because Reyes stuck out a useful foot. Not really settled here, the US. Maybe not surprising. I think only 4 of the players are starting in the positions they had last Friday. Goodson. Eddie Johnson's little flick is a good one to Dempsey. Is Clint Dempsey here? Dempsey goes on and on. There was a block which was important there.
And the two best friends off the field and teammates for the Seattle Sounders. This is what the United States did not have Friday night in Costa Rica. Someone up front that can then allow Dempsey, Donovan, Bedoya to run off of. Great combination play from Johnson and Dempsey up front.
Good turn. Chicharito Hernandez, it was a little bit on the optimistic side, wasn't it, from the ace goal scorer. No arguing with his record, though. 35 goals in 54 caps for Mexico. Never scored against the US yet, though, strangely. Neither has Clint Dempsey scored against Mexico. All those kind of runs have to end somewhere. That's what the players will be telling themselves. Up goes Bedoya and wins the header ahead of Salcido. Good speed from Eddie Johnson to pick up that ball. Bedoya inside, useful. Fabian Johnson. The US just showing 1 or 2 signs of slipping into a more significant gear. Zabala trying to pick up Dos Santos. Omar Gonzalez missed it. It is Dos Santos who goes to ground very easily. The Jamaican referee, Courtney Campbell, is not interested. And I think Tim Howard is saying, well, if you don't think that's a foul, how about booking him? Which you don't like to see players doing. I think that's what Jurgen Klimt's been saying as well.
I was very critical of Jermaine Jones Friday night against Costa Rica. Omar Gonzalez's beat. This didn't happen Friday night. Great work from Jermaine Jones to recognize that his center back was beat with a run in behind. And I'll be honest with you, if this is a dive from Dos Santos, then it's a yellow card here.
If you don't call it and you deem it's a dive, then it has to be a yellow card for Dos Santos. From the Mexican national team perspective, though, you like the run out of the midfield from Giovanni Dos Santos, getting in behind Omar Gonzalez. Giovanni Dos Santos unable to get his body in between Jermaine Jones and the ball, and unable to get either a shot or a cross on goal. Disappointing end to the play, but a good sequence nonetheless.
Given away by Omar Gonzalez with a careless ball, and it's Arce who can build here for Mexico. The clever Guardado. Mexico facing the question coming into this game, really. Have they just been underperforming, or are they not very good? They certainly have some talented players, but they have to perform now because they're running out of time in this group. Dos Santos scooped up and a long way over.
And Ian, we've seen it 3 or 4 times already in this first half when Cristian Chaco Jimenez comes off the line in the right-hand side, tucks inside, able to combine with Giovanni Dos Santos, and Giovanni Dos Santos getting the pockets of spaces in front of the U.S. back forward.
Here is Omar Gonzalez, who's become a fixture in the side. It took him a long, long time to make the breakthrough. Marcus Beasley. We all seem to accept now that he's a left back late in his career. Donovan. Little drop of the shoulders, it nearly worked. Picked up by Kyle Beckerman. It's a little bit loose, made Beasley into trouble. Donovan picks it up again. Is Alejandro Bedoya. Played for a few teams in Europe, including Rangers of Scotland. Good ball, Donovan to Dempsey. And now Bedoya. The attack looks good so far. Where's it going? Long range effort from Jermaine Jones. Skids a yard or so wide.
Mexico seems very keen to allow the United States to try to build the ball out of the back, and you see the communication from Eddie Johnson and Clint Dempsey. But this is where I want Bedoya to get to the touchline. Him now coming back to Jermaine Jones. This is too difficult for Jermaine Jones, and he does a wonderful job of getting a shot off. But if Bedoya can get to that end line, Eddie Johnson, Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey are inside that 18.
And let's be honest, Taylor, part of the reason Alejandro Bedoya is playing tonight is because he has that ability to get to the end line and get the ball across and trying to find Eddie Johnson as well as Landon Donovan or Clint Dempsey.
The next MLS game of the week, September the 29th, Clint Dempsey and the Seattle Sounders head east to take on Thierry Henry and the New York Red Bulls. That's Sunday, September the 29th at 9 on ESPN and on the Watch ESPN app. Dempsey through to Donovan, who gets in behind here. Is he clever enough to finish it? No, it's a great block by Moreno to stop him. Brilliant defending by Moreno. That's the last 5 or 10 minutes for the U.S.
I talked about weathering the storm the first 25-30 minutes of the game. There's been nervy moments, particularly in the midfield with Kyle Beckerman and some deflections in the back. But the fact remains, it's 0-0. As this scoreline stays 0-0, the pressure builds for Mexico.
Offside here, Hernandez didn't quite time his run correctly. But the Manchester United man, it has to be said, is a threat every single second he is out there. Mexico have played in every World Cup since 1990 when they were banned from the competition for playing overage players in a youth FIFA match. And every time recently. They've been eliminated at the round of 16 stage. The US, of course, are bidding to play in the World Cup for the 7th time in a row. A tremendous achievement, going all the way back to and including 1990. Only 6 other teams in world football can match that kind of run. All the usual big guns plus South Korea. Beasley up towards Dempsey. Moreno let him know he was there. Salcido, the left back, winning his 119th cap. That equals the Mexican legend Cuauhtemoc Blanco. Counter, can they get it right? Fabian Johnson not quite. Johnson's throw to his namesake, Eddie. Here's Clarence Goodson, who wasn't even in the original 23. It was only when all the yellow cards and suspensions arrived that he was called up from San Jose Earthquakes and has gone straight into the starting 11. Fabian Johnson. Corner.
But that play comes from the confidence of Omar Gonzalez to take the space in front of him. If nobody from Mexico is going to stop that penetrating ball, that's your center back's job, is to take that space. Good run from Fabian Johnson.
You talk about Omar Gonzalez. This is where Omar Gonzalez can make a difference for this U.S. national team in attack.
He really is gigantic at 6'5". Gonzalez. This is Los Angeles teammate Landon Donovan taking the corner. He knows all about targeting him from these set pieces. Eddie Johnson, and saved on the line by Corona. Well, the crowd were wondering, was that the moment? It might well have been. Here's Donovan. Spinning in behind, Donovan here. And it's gone out of play. He just took a little look up to see what might be on, and while that was happening, the ball skidded beyond him.
There's no doubt about it that the United States has a huge advantage on set pieces, and watch this little stutter step from Omar Gonzalez. Eddie Johnson is wide open. He's been so deadly with his head for Seattle Sounders over the last 18 months. But I love this because Omar Gonzalez isn't really facing that defender, so the referee watching the play doesn't expect anything. Eddie Johnson wide open.
Specializes, doesn't he, in World Cup qualifying goals. Eddie Johnson, he's got 11 of them.
I think the biggest difference of Eddie Johnson in his career since going to Fulham and coming home is how good he's been in the air.
Well, these fans were in a party mood about 3 hours before the kickoff. I don't think anything's going to dissuade them from that unless Mexico spoil that party, which is exactly their aim, of course. Arce. It's Carlos Salcido back in his most familiar role of left back after his spell in midfield, including as an overage player in the Olympics when Mexico struck gold. Question, did they rather believe their own publicity a little too much after that success and their wonderful win over the United States in the Gold Cup back in 2011? No, the play's going to be pulled back here. It's gone Mexico's way too. Tense, isn't it, boys?
You expect it to be. You expect it to be in a game of this magnitude, with Mexico coming in such disarray, in such chaos as a team. the challenge for Luis Fernando Tena to have a team that is ready to play. The first 10-15 minutes for Mexico were very good. Since then, the momentum has changed.
Oh, that's given away badly by Zavala. Donovan. So, good turn of pace from him. Now, can Mexico counter here with Dos Santos? And Salcido, player who's always had an explosive shot on him if he can get in range. The versatile Arce. Meyer. Patient from Mexico. Creativity has been their problem in this group. 4 goalless draws, it beggars belief almost.
And Ian, 3 of those goalless draw at Azteca, a place where they have been nearly impossible to beat. It's been an incredibly disappointing World Cup qualifying campaign for Mexico so far.
They do have the chance to turn it around. We always say it, World Cup qualification is a rocky road, and the US have found that once or twice when they've been on the road. 100% at home, though. Frankly, they look a different team playing on American soil. The World Cup will not be played on American soil. Here's Dos Santos. Arce. Zavala. The troublesome Jimenez to Salcido. Can they just find a magic ball here or up the tempo? Jimenez, and in the end it all comes to nothing with that somewhat errant ball, but they've got it back again. Meyer did well, and the break's on here now. Donovan did well, he was the one who broke it up. It's 3 against 4. Eddie Johnson's pulled away into space on the back post. Donovan was trying to find him too.
Great work from Clint Dempsey.
Bedoya just getting used to the intensity of a game like this. This is the biggest game he will have ever played in his career, I would venture to suggest, Alejandro Bedoya. Let's get a touchline report from the Mexican camp with John Sutcliffe now.
Ian, it's always been said that assistant Salvador Reyes and Yayo de la Torre had more input with Chepo de la Torre than Luis Fernando Tena. And right now, the one who's closest to the field, giving indications, telling Giovanni to move forward to help out Chicharito, is the assistant Salvador Reyes. It's not the head coach, Flaco Tena.
Thank you, John. Sutcliffe very close to the camp and generally knows most of the intelligence. Tena has tried to relax this squad in the last 2 or 3 days, taken a lot of the pressure off, tried to introduce a few laughs. He's given a few jokey interviews. I think he even encouraged the players to have a beer or two, not too many. But it's what happens here that counts.
But this is the part of their game that's been missing in this final round of qualifying, is when they have to deal with 11 guys behind the ball. They've lacked that killer instinct in the final third, that creative play, either from Dos Santos or Guardado.
They become predictable, and it has been a problem for Mexico.
Arce's ball has got to be dealt with here by Fabian Johnson, who's done his job well. Here are the Mexican coaching team, led, of course, by the new man, Luis Fernando Tena, who's battling to keep the job, really, because the talk you hear is he might only last for 1 game. They might decide, if this goes wrong, to get a new guy in for the last couple. Who can tell? It's football. He's beautifully set up here. And kind of poised on a knife edge. Who can get a breakthrough, a vital first goal in the argument between the old and, you'd have to say, bitter rivals. Zabala. Arce, I'm sure he wanted it there, but managed to make something of it anyway. Guardado. It'll be down to Guardado and Jimenez to make the bullets for Chicharito to fire. It is Guardado who plays it into a dangerous area. It's hacked away by Clarence Goodson.
Eddie Johnson has been spectacular in these first 40 minutes. Big question about who can fill in for Josie Altidore, but when you have a team like Mexico sitting behind the ball, it's vital that you have someone up front that wants to run the channels. But most importantly, when he does get on the ball, he keeps possession. It's been very good 40 minutes in.
Currently on a campaign to get a bit more pay in his pocket from Seattle Sounders, but they look at the old goal celebration the other day.
Well, everybody else is getting paid.
Yeah, I think that's what he's figuring, including his mate Clint Dempsey, of course. They room together, don't they, those two, on the trips generally? Moreno. Guardado. Eye-catching decision to leave him out at home the other night against Honduras, and of course it didn't pay. Dempsey's flick was a good one to Jones. Nobody in support of Eddie Johnson that time. There's Chaco Jimenez. Mayer to Arce, who found an interesting little pocket of space. He's looking for Dos Santos. The US almost playing like an away team on the counter here. They know Mexico have to force this a little, the way the group's set up.
And Ian, until Mexico proves that they can create attacking opportunities, chance after chance, the United States do not have to get out of their shape. Put numbers behind the ball, win the ball out of the middle of midfield, and from there you can spring attack, counter-attacking opportunities with Landon Donovan and Eddie Johnson.
Here is Donovan. Good understanding between him and Eddie Johnson and Clint Dempsey as well. Oh, he's done ever so well there, Fabian Johnson. What a fantastic piece of play from Fabian Johnson. He couldn't quite find Eddie Johnson, but that was a lovely cameo from the German-based player who limps away. Keep an eye on that. Needs to get back to the right back position. He's furthest forward at the moment, Fabian Johnson. They've got to cover that. Cat and mouse here. United States, Mexico, the big grudge match in the World Cup. It only happens every 4 years that Mexico come here. Every time in recent history they've come to this Cruz Stadium, and every time they've been beaten. They're sick of it. Dos Santos, possibilities here. On and on he goes, and Howard has to clutch it there, but you wondered when somebody was going to make a challenge. Could have been costly.
And yeah, it's Giovanni Dos Santos again working in those pockets of space in front of the back four, in behind Jermaine Jones, and behind Kyle Beckerman. Nobody comes and challenges right away. He's able to turn, get his head up, and then nobody steps up to Giovanni Dos Santos right away. he's free to take a shot on goal. Good save by Tim Howard.
Remember Dos Santos scoring that brilliant goal in the Gold Cup final in the 4-2 win they had in Bob Bradley's last game in charge back in 2011. That's when it all looked so rosy for Mexico. Not to say it won't do again sometime soon. These things do tend to run in cycles. Coming up on the Scion halftime report, we'll send it to Bob Lee, Alexi Lalas, Casey Keller and Jorge Ramos for an analysis of the first half. And we'll update you on what's going on around the world in World Cup qualifying today. And the answer to that is plenty. Jimenez goes down. Referee says play on. Beckham was on the floor as well. Remember, these two shared a goalless draw in the Azteca. Looked like the US with their lineup might be in for trouble that night, because Matt Beasley was only winning his second cap at the back, and Omar Gonzalez, I think it was his sixth. They did splendidly, came of age that night, those two.
We came into this game, though, wondering, would there be any change to Mexico in just 3 days of a coaching change? And Alejandro, what I've seen from Mexico in this first half is better off-the-ball movement than they have the last 3 or 4 World Cup qualifiers. They've been very good with that run out of the midfield.
The referee has added 1 minute of stoppage time to the first half.
It'll be fascinating to see how Mexico might play the second half as they chase the wind. Do they get even bolder, push more men forward? Nicely done, wasn't it, there by Jimenez? And a good drop of the shoulder, too, to send a couple of players the wrong way. They had to foul him in the end. It was Bedoya, and I think he's going to get yellow for that, isn't he? Yep.
So many times tonight we've talked about Cristian Chaco Jimenez and his ability to tuck inside, to place interchange, his ability to turn in the middle of midfield. Deceptively quick, deceptively fast, able to dribble away from pressure. And as Alejandro Bedoya chases, a clear foul, clear yellow card, Cristian Chaco Jimenez can be a difference maker for this Mexican national team.
There is a minute of stoppage time, which will be added to, of course, because of this slight stoppage within the time added on. This will almost certainly be the last incident of the half. As ever, the American Outlaws, the famed American supporters group, making plenty of noise here. Arce to play it in, and Howard has to go down. I think it was Zavala who got the header, but rather it was Reyes. Just flicked it on. I'm not sure it was actually going in, but Howard didn't know that.
Well, and we think that the edge is on the United States in terms of set pieces, and still Diego Reyes able to win the ball, and from there Tim Howard scrambles and makes a save.
Third corner for Mexico, right on the stroke of half-time. The US have to defend this well, and that will be half-time. Beautifully poised, so far so good. What happens next? Let's go to Bob Lee and the boys.
Thank you, Ian. It is now 298 consecutive minutes since Mexico has scored against the U.S. national side, as we are at the half. 0-0. Mexico looking very confident on the ball. A lot of pressure. The question had been asked, how would this coaching change affect them in their funk? They came out flying, and the United States had their hands full.
Yeah, and I think the U.S. also played into that by conceding possession, which is fine. They don't have Michael Bradley to be that timekeeper in the middle. But I tell you what, this game is absolutely set up for the classic type of counterattacking Landon Donovan into space situation. If they can figure it out, absorb that pressure, it's fine. They're not creating a whole lot, and then get on their bikes and go the other way, they can find some real joy.
Well, we've seen that a couple times. You saw it with Landon once or twice on the left. You saw Fabian Johnson get forward a couple times as well. Now it's just a matter of getting that balance right, making sure that when it gets out wide, Eddie Johnson's in a good position. We saw in the set piece his ability in the air and what he can do. He's drifted out wide a few times. He's connected. Then he's got to spin quickly, get in the box, and be that presence in the middle. That'll draw a couple defenders. Then Clint can pick up the pieces. But I think you're right. It is both teams kind of still feeling each other out a little bit. Counterattacks on for both. Now, who's going to be the person that really rises?
Well, they've touched gloves, and they've got 45 minutes to go. New coach, And an old rivalry, scoreless at the half. We'll be back